Hello, I'm Angus Mackey, and this is my 18.3 rehabilitation program PowerPoint. So, nice little intro. Ruptured ankle ligament is my first one. He did it when he was playing football. The first thing I would do is go through the sole taps process in order to start to get an idea of what he has done. Then the immediate treatment for this is the PRICE, which stands for protect, rest, ice, compress, elevation, and no, that is it. Anyway, this is just so to begin to reduce the swelling, so we can then think about moving on to the next stage, which is methods to improve range of motion. The aim of this stage is to re-establish 360 degrees movement in 3 weeks. I would start with toe points with no resistance. This is just because obviously it's the first one, you don't want to start with anything big, and then you're going to gradually increase it. So when you add a bit of resistance with toe points with a resistant band, just quickly, all of these are progressive because you don't want to do it too quickly. So a toe point with a resistant band, so you can kind of control the amount of resistance you have with the amount of how tight the resistant band is. And then I move on to a tone point while standing, so you can get used to his own body weight again. And then the toe point standing is using both feet, so there isn't all of the weight on one foot, because then if that is okay, I will then move on to toe points balancing just on the injured leg, because that means that he's putting all his weight on it, which he will have to do if he wants to begin to get back into his sport. So then after that, I would use the balance board using both legs. So I'll have one on the balance board and both feet on the balance board, sorry. And then I would make him just kind of make him balance, obviously. This is good because it starts to move the ankle from side to side instead of just up and down. And then I would do it on one leg. So he's just, again, putting all his weight on the same leg with having to move it side to side and up and down as well. Then with the balance board balancing on one leg while catching and throwing a ball, this means he's going to have to move about while putting all his weight on the balance board. This just means he's going to have to start to move while he's putting, pressure and resistance onto his injured ankle, which will begin to get him used to the movement again. If he hasn't got a balance board, you could use pillows or scrunched up clothing on the floor to balance on, just as an alternative. Throughout all of this, I think I would have his ankle strapped just so he has protection throughout all the movements. This is just because I don't want him to further injure his ankle. And then after this stage is complete, I would refer him to a strength and conditioning coach in order to begin to strengthen the ankle up again, because this would lead him onto getting back into his sport. And then I would also recommend him to a physiotherapist to begin to get rid of the scar tissue so his ankle repairs correctly. Close the door. Alright, next one. For the strength and coordination exercises, the aim is to have the ankle back to its maximum strength in 4 weeks. So in his first week, I'm just going to get him to do lunges, 3 sets of 10 reps. This is just with his body weight, and then squats 3 times 10. This is good because he's starting to strengthen up not just his ankle but the muscles around it as well, because actually one second, yeah, so in his first week he's going to be doing all the exercises I went through every other day, just to allow proper recovery time. So on Monday he'll do it, and then Tuesday he'll rest, Wednesday he'll be on, and then etc. So as I was saying, it's good because he is strengthening up the muscles around his ankle as well as the actual ligaments and all the things around his ankle as well. So then in the second week, we're starting to build up a bit more by doing more reps. This is just so we can progress it, so his ankle can gradually get stronger rather than, starting at the deep end and then make him injure it again. So then obviously you can see in week 3, just gradually increase the sets, and then in the week 4, we increase the sets and reps. So then at the bottom, I've said the reason I'm doing this is just so the ankle get used to more weight being put on it, so it can get stronger. That's why I say stronger, not stringer. In preparation for his return to sport. Also, it activates the muscle around the ankle and leg after they've been relaxed for a while, which I already said. It's important this stage done correctly, just so he doesn't go into his return to sport too early. So his return to sport. All of these again are progressive exercises, just so he doesn't again get in the deep end and further injure himself. So I'd start with running over 20 meters in a straight line, quite basic, and then just do that twice to make sure it's fine. Then I'd build this up by running. This is not a sprint, by the way, it's just a jog. So he has to begin to twist and turn again on his ankle. This just so he begins to replicate in-game situations where he's going to have to move, side to side, not just in straight lines. He's going to do this twice as well. The reason I'm doing it twice on everything is just because if you can do it once, he might not be able to do it again. So beginning to do it twice, it's just going to make sure he can do that stage, which I think is very important. So then it's going to be a 20 meter sprint in a straight line. So he's going to have to push off his injured leg with more force, which means it's going to test his ankle a bit more. So just kind of building it up. And then it's going to be in the diagonal cone. So again, just building it up and getting him to really put a lot of pressure on his ankle. But hopefully this will be okay because of the things we've done before. Then I'm going to get him to do a normal stationary vertical jump with a head. With a ball. So he's just going to head it back to me into my hand, and he's literally just going to do that twice so I can make sure he can jump properly and land on his ankle properly, putting quite a lot of force on it without injuring it again.